Hello there, Donny Carr here with another In the Studio. In this video, I have a handful of production tips, so let's dive right in. The first tip is a air reverb for your hats. So I have some hats and shakers happening here. There we go. And we're going to focus on this reverb right here, which is the stock Fruity Reverb 2, nothing special. But the key for this is having this in side mode here. So what that's going to do is only apply the reverb to the stereo information or just the sides. Exaggerate it a little bit. So if I was to switch this to mid, just a little bit much for my taste. But having just the sides, creates a nice airy quality. You get a nice little shimmer. It helps, put the hats in a single space. So I quite like that. And if you don't use FL Studio, then you could easily apply this just on a send track. Just use a utility plugin first that allows you to solo the stereo or side information. You could do this, there's lots of plugins that you could do this with, and then just apply the reverb after that. As far as the other settings go, you can dial those into taste, but for this case I have the low cut set around 600. I rolled quite a bit of the top end off here, so rolled it down to about 4K, and then the decay set to right around 1 second or just above 1 second. But it's a nice little air reverb for the hats. Okay, moving on. The next little tip is side chaining different hat patterns against your main offbeat hi-hat. So for this example, I have this like white noise 16th hat pattern, and I'm going to sidechain it against this main offbeat hi-hat. Okay, so to do this, I just applied or put a peak controller on the open hi-hat playing on the offbeat, and then on this one here, the 16th note pattern, I'm using this little balance plugin, and I've linked it to the peak controller. So to do that, if you don't know, it's super easy. Let's right click here, we'll go link to controller, and we're going to go to the open hi-hat peak here, select that, and then make sure it's on inverted. We want it to duck, not boost when it reacts to it. And then I want this to be 0.8 because I want this to start at its default setting and then duck. And this default setting is actually set to 80%, so that's what the 0.8 is for. Hit accept, boom, now it's reacting to the offbeat hi-hat. If I turn that off, it's not crazy noticeable, but there's definitely a difference happening. You can hear a little bit more like push and pull between those two, and it's just creating a little extra space for that open hi-hat, and it's going to help with the overall clarity of the hats and shakers here. So that's an option for you. Sometimes I don't always do this. Sometimes I will if I feel like it needs it, and sometimes I'll just handle it in the programming. So I'll just maybe use the velocity to, I'll duck the velocity on the offbeat hits, and yeah. So that's something to think about. All right, the next tip is using down sampling. So say for instance you have a sound that you maybe want to kind of redistribute the frequencies. Maybe there's a little bit too much top end and you want some more body to the sound. Instead of reaching for a EQ straight away, you can use downsampling perhaps. So let's just apply this to the hat group here. So I'm going to use the Fruity Delay 3. I'm just going to turn off the delay module completely, and we're just going to use the sample rate parameter here. So as you can hear there, as I reduce the sample rate, we get a lot more kind of low end, we get more body, we get more texture and grit to the sound, and we lose some of the top end. So this can be a nice way to, you know, dirty up a sound, maybe, you know, soften the top end a little bit if you wanted to. And it's also an interesting parameter to automate as well. So I thought I'd mention that. Okay. And the next tip is a FL Studio specific tip. It's a key command, but it's quite handy to keep your projects under control and tidy. I'm sure you all know that it can get crazy with open plugin windows all over the place, you know, and there's an easy way to close them all at once. So all you need to do is hit F12. Boom, they're all closed. We're all happy. Boom, there you go. All right, so I've got one more tip for you, but I'm going to head into another project. I'll see you in a second. Okay, for the last tip, I'm going to show you how you can take your long reverb sends to the next level, squeeze some more juice out of them. So I'm using a project I used in a previous video, but I've repurposed it for this example. Let's refresh our memories really quick. Okay, so that's what's happening. So I have all of the synths going through this synth bus here. This synth bus is running through this long reverb send over here, which has the Tractors 12 reverb and guitar rig, really long decay, and I followed that with an EQ. So really the tip is here, try automating the cutoff and the resonance at the same time after a long reverb. And particularly the resonance is what we're focusing on here. That really helps build the tension and kind of takes the reverb to the next level. So I have a few bits of automation here. I've got the synth bus sending to the send amount to that reverb here. And then I have the cutoff and the resonance being automated. So we're going to listen to 2 passes of this little loop here, and one with the resonance enabled and one without, and you can hear the difference that it makes. So let's have a go. Okay, so I think you get the point there. With the resonance enabled, you just get much more of a build, much more tension, and I really think it's, you know, taking that reverb to the next level. So instead of just automating the send amount to a long reverb and a breakdown like this, try adding a filter or an EQ after the reverb and automating the cutoff and the resonance at the same time, along with the send amount to the reverb, and take your reverb to the next level. That's it for today. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Leave me a comment or question. I always love hearing from you. So take care, and I'll catch you soon. Bye-bye.